Good morning and welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea. And as promised, here's the video that's looking at my tarot library. I do have quite an extensive collection of books on tarot. These are predominantly tarot. I think there might be only 3, maybe 4 books that are not about tarot on here, but are linked somehow to tarot. The first thing I'm going to do is address a question set to me by Kelly Raymond that was asked of me on one of my previous videos. And Kelly, as promised, here's the response to your questions. So the first question Kelly asked me was, what book do I go to for the most for dipping into? Right, when I refer to a book as something I dip in and dip out of, it is usually a book that I would consider a reference book. Something along the lines of this one here. This is Complete Book of Correspondences, a comprehensive and cross-reference resource for pagans and Wiccans by Sandra Kynes, and it's produced by Llewellyn. So if I'm looking to work with tarot and looking at correspondences, this is the book I would go for. And this is what I would dip in. I would go to the index in the back, say now I'm looking for something that might have to do with, let's have a look. Okay, say that I want to look at all correspondences throughout all the esoteric subjects on the topic of change, for instance. We'll go to the page where it discusses change. And here we go, it should be here now. So change or changes, to cope with, initiate or support. So when we're looking at changes, we will see there's a table here, all on change. And in that table, it will tell us whether it's the solar system, zodiac, time of day, the tarot, etc., etc. So I would look down here and see all the correspondences that look at the subject of change. And with tarot, we've got the Chariot, Hanged Man, High Priestess, the Tower with an unexpected change, and the Wheel of Fortune. And we can associate all of those cards with change, you know, as tarot readers, and we can have a look, well, what corresponds with that? Well, it corresponds with the zodiacs of Cancer, Gemini and Scorpio. Okay, the celebrations are Litha, Vasant, Panchami, and the element is water. It then talks about direction, gemstones, metals, things from the sea, goddesses, etc., etc. So a dip in, dip out book could be any book that covers the subject that I am working on at the time. For instance, there's something that I use and refer to fairly often, and that is this book here, Tarot for Writers, okay, because I like writing small stories, etc., etc. Have I had anything published yet? Not yet, but who knows what the future holds. As you can see, I've already marked this book, and I sort of look through it and say, right, okay, I want to know, how can my character move forward? What can I do with that? And how can I address writer's block? Okay, so I will look in here and I say, right, okay, I have a character here. My character is I don't know. Let me see. Have a look. Let me see. What can I say? My character is charge, a boss, a parent, etc., etc. So we would come up to here and go, right, okay, he's got all the qualities of the Hierophant or something, or the Emperor, and we would read up here, you know, about that, the traits of that character. For instance, if it was the Hierophant, a seat of power, papal authority, blessing you, etc., giving you the blessing to go forward. But then we think, well, yeah, well, that's all well and good, but I'm hitting here a little bit of writer's block. I don't know what that character is going to do next. So you get different spreads in this. You say, right, okay, this is where my character is so far. What's their next move? You have an idea, you're not quite sure, so you might pull out 3 cards and say, oh, right, okay, this is the next step. Where he's going, who's going with him, and how it's going to pan out, okay? You can then say, as a spread that you might have a hero, so you have the hero's journey spread, and it gives you a 12-card spread there that you can follow. So anything that you work with that will help you on a subject you're reading about would be a book that I would dip in and dip out of. So there's no one particular book that I would use for dipping in and dipping out of. As I say, it's all depending on what aspect of tarot I'm looking at, what I need to know going forward, if I'm doing something, working on writing, if I'm looking for correspondences, if I'm working on myself. For works on myself, I'd use something like The Tarot for Yourself by Mary K. Greer, or The Tarot Handbook by Angeles Ariane. Okay, so for people who are interested in books that help you work on yourself, there's the practical application of ancient visual symbols, The Tarot Handbook by Angeles Ariane, and the Tarot for Yourself by Mary K. Greer. I will put links to both these books in my comments box that's down below, in the description box down below. This is, as you can see, they're both marked. I use them quite a lot, but they all help you, moving forward, looking at you. It's a lot of self-work, self-discovery, really. So that explains sort of dipping in and dipping out books. So do I have a lot of dip in, dip out books here? I do. I've got the Book of Gemstones that I've actually put here. That's one of the non-tarot ones, but because there are correspondences between gemstones and tarot, and the information is in the Book of Correspondences, I can cross-reference there, you see. I have the 365 tarot spells and 365 tarot spreads. So that's like a tarot spell or a tarot spread for every day of the year. Now, do I use that like day one, follow it sequentially through the book? No, I don't. I, again, look at what issues I might be having. If that issue comes in under the book, how can I read for it for that day? Okay, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to go for it from cover to cover. It's dip in, dip out to find the spread, the spell, or anything else that fits in with how your day's going, with what you're doing at the time. So those are basically how I use dip in and dip out of books. So another question that Kelly had for me is, why do I have 3 books by Vincent Pitisci with another on my wish list? Is he my best study guide to the question of why in tarot, or are there other reasons? Well, I actually have other reasons, to be honest, and again, for that, I've actually flipped back and forth through this notebook. My notes are everywhere. I've decided to look at Vincent Pitisci's books particularly. We've looked at them before, and I do have, the one that was on my wish list has arrived. So here we go. I'm going to take these 4 books off the shelf for a minute, and let's take a look at these. Now, the 4 books I have by him are The Genius of the Tarot, A Guide to the Divination of Tarot. There's Radical Tarot, Breaking All the Rules. The Essential Tarot, Unlocking the Mysteries. And The Bare Bones of Tarot, an in-depth study to key elements of the tarot. Now, if you were to ask me which book would I recommend most, I would actually say I would recommend this of Vincent's the most. This is The Bare Bones Tarot. Okay, as it says, an in-depth study to key elements of the tarot. And here, Vincent asks the question, does the tarot really work? And then it tells you, Pitisci's 50 years of tarot knowledge and practice is now laid out in his clear and concise teachings. Bare Bones Tarot opened the portals of insight to reading the tarot that have been a mystery since its origins, and so on and so forth. I won't go right through it because I have looked at these books previously on other videos. Why would I recommend this one the most? I'd recommend this one the most simply because it has aspects of all 3 earlier books inside this. Now, it doesn't have absolutely everything from all 3 books, but it does have a lot of what's in them, okay? So, however, I like to have the set. That's just my own personal liking. But also, there's also that little tiny something that you might find, it might be in this book, but there might be a little bit more going deeper into this book. Okay, so if we're looking at Genius of the Tarot, Guide to Divination, and we pick it up here, we can see that we, looked at it before, but in this book, but does it have some more to tell us? Or has this one gone a little bit more deeper on something that you found in here? You see? it's personal preference, and similarly to liking a particular author. So if you like thriller books and Stephen King or horror, Stephen King would be an author that I would follow and would have many of his books. And sometimes your characters can sort of represent each other. Sometimes a character might go from one book to another, like Holly, one of the detectives in the last couple of books that Stephen's written. But there's always, you know, the theme of the story might be similar, but the characters are different. And it's like that with books written by tarot authors. Now I have marked, as you can see, I've got three, all four books, I've put a pink marker in them. The yellow ones are for other work I'm doing, but the pink marker is just, I just picked out, it was the Six of Wands actually, just at a glance the other day. I thought, right, I'm just going to have a look, pick out the Six of Wands in each of these books, and let's have a look at the sameness and the difference, that, you know, that what it's like and what it's not like. Now, within this book here, the Bare Bones of Tarot, Pitisci has used the Tarot de Marseille. So the Tarot de Marseille that I use is the Marshmallow Tarot. Okay, I tend to use that for this sort of thing. I'm not a great Marseille reader, but I prefer RWS. But this one here, just bear with me, I'll take these here so I can share this with you. When I'm working with Marseille, it is my Marshmallow Marseille, and I have that there for a reason, so I shall just put this here for a minute. Also in his books, he uses the 1JJ Swiss Tarot and the Universal Weight Deck. So when you're looking through Pitisci's books, or when you're working with them, I find it more enjoyable if I've got matching decks. So if he's worked with Marseille, I'll work with Marseille. If he's worked with RWS, I'll work with RWS. If he's used the 1JJ Swiss, I'll use the 1JJ Swiss, and so on and so forth. I just find it reinforces what you're reading and what you're learning, because sometimes if you've got someone using Marseille and you're using RWS, and there's that slight difference, or this is, you know, if you're using Thoth, and you think, there's a slight difference in meaning here. Just, it might be minute, but it's there, you know, and it can throw a little bit, if you're not used to different versions of tarot, it can throw you off kilter slightly. So let's go and have a look as to what I was saying about the similarities and the differences here. The Minor Arcana Six of Wands. So in this book, Pitisci looks at it, it's about perseverance, okay, and at a glance it's moving on, self-awareness, courage, self-action, re-evaluation and compassion. It's then got the meaning as we know it today. It then gives you meanings from the past. So you've got meanings of the past from the 1980s, and then meanings from the past from the 1960s. So you've got historical content too on that particular card, okay? So that's in the Bare Bones. In the Essential Tarot, Unlocking the Mysteries, we have, with the Six of Wands, we've got here where Pitisci has looked at both the Marseille and the Universal Weight, okay? He's drawn, in this one, like a brainstorming diagram with keywords on it, so key meanings. There's two things about the Six of Wands. You've got perseverance, but he's also got established, okay? So at a glance, at a glance again, you've got your moving forward, etc., etc., because it has been repeated, that part. Then you've got the traditional meaning there, just the traditional meaning. And then keywords here with the RWS card that's done on a brainstorming. So it's overcoming obstacles, and with that you've got sort of subdivisions of achievement, subdued threat, a goal met, good outcome, leadership, initiative, motivation, influence and cooperation, promotion, graduation, accomplishment, recognition and recorded action, and then successful results, advancement, objective is completed, a new level and positive direction. So it's slightly different there. Okay, now we go on to this book here with the Radical Tarot. And in the Radical Tarot, with the six, it's not done as in the Six of Wands or the Six of Cups, it's done as a group. So with the sixes, it will tell you. The sixes are all about perseverance, okay? So it gives you a write-up of the sixes as the number, okay? Then it gives you a breakdown of the cups, the swords, the wands, and it's not broken out, it's more in a paragraph at the top. And again, you haven't got so much as of a mind map per se, but just a few keywords with the centre of one of the cards there. And then looking at the Six of Wands in the book A Genius of the Tarot, there's no mind maps, there's no keywords. Basically, it's the six is overcoming obstacles, and then you've got description, tradition, slight shift, quirky, random word associations. So there are differences in each of the books, and it, like as I said previously, the reason I enjoy books by authors, different books by the same authors, is that there's just something different in each of them. And again, if you follow an author, or if you followed an author, then you're bound to like more than just one of their books, you know. So that's it's personal preference at the end of the day. So let's go here and pop these back. Now, another author whose books I have really found beneficial is Tom Benjamin. Now, Tom Benjamin has a book that's coming out, I think it's in October or November, that yes, I have pre-ordered, because I love his books actually. And we've got the two of his books, the first two of his books here, Tarot on Earth, which I used the Marshmallow Marseille with, because that's what Tom used throughout the book. And this is all about a practical approach to the cards, and the cards in this case are the Tarot de Marseille. This was something that was really a benefit to me learning to read Marseille, and actually resulted in me enjoying Marseille, which I didn't particularly before. This is set out as a workbook that you write all your responses through it, but you can go back and research over what you've done, you know. It's so handy that, you know, it's not you've got to sit there and say, oh, I've got to finish this course. It's as and when. If you want to look at Marseille, if you want to study more about Marseille, if you want to make that your method of reading and you're not quite sure, definitely Tom Benjamin's Tarot on Earth. And I love the fact that it's made as a workbook, okay? His second book that I have is Your Tarot Toolkit, and this is working through the RWS. Again, this is a workbook, and I will confess here, I haven't actually written in this book, I haven't gone through it yet. I did buy it as a sister book to this one here. I'm already an RWS reader, but I often find that when you follow authors like Tom, who is quite a prominent member in the TarotTube community, that you might pick up something new. So I've been involved in tarot. I'm 58 now, so for the last 40 years, 40 years, 41 years in October. But I've found that yes, you could become staid, or you sort of read your own little stilted way for a number of years until you have that time on your hands where you can delve deeply down the rabbit hole of tarot and discover yourself in tarot, enhance your skills. And it's authors like Tom Benjamin, like Vincent Pitisci, who give you the tools to underpin what you already know and advance on what you already know. So I purchased this so that, you know, when I get the moment, it's there for me to work through. I have a lot of time on my hands at times, and when I do, that's when I head up here and go, right, what do I want to learn today? So that's why that's here, ready for me to work on. The book that Tom has, that I've pre-ordered, and it will sit next, there will be a move around when it arrives, because it'll go next to its sisters or brothers and sisters there, is, and this is going to be quite an exciting one, I think. Let me get it here, I've written it down here for you. Now, it's called The Modern Fortune Teller's Field Guide, okay? So The Modern Fortune Teller's Field Guide. And that's using everyday things for divination, whether it's feathers, whether it's stones, whether it's trees, whether it's plants. It's going back and looking at the history of divination and what tools were used for divining the future in days of yore, and how we can resurrect that in today's world. That is a topic that I really am interested in, because I came across it when I was working through the Ancestral Tarot by Nancy Hendrickson. How can I forget? So there was the Ancestral Tarot, and then there was the Ancestral Grimoire, and within the Ancestral Grimoire, there was a section where you looked at divination using the land around you, and it was great because these two were definitely a work through from cover to cover book for me. And with this second one, I actually created my Ancestral Grimoire, and with this one, I created another grimoire, which was the Ancestral Tarot, uncovering my past, and it fitted in perfectly with things that I had found out about my own family whilst researching the family tree. So it got me asking a lot of questions, and these two books answered a lot of those questions and created more. So that's the Ancestral Grimoire and Ancestral Tarot by Nancy Hendrickson. And for those of you that have not seen that, I have a series of videos where I work through each of these books. And you might be wondering, what am I messing with in this book? Well, in here, you actually got to make some more cards, okay, where you looked at different centuries. So if you're looking at time and you're asking when did this happen, you'd have shuffled this, picked some out, and you have 14th century, 13th century, 21st century, then before Common Era, ancient times, okay, and ancient ancestors when you were looking at those. The 12th century, 20th century, the 18th century, you had your female and your male cards. So who am I talking to, a man or a woman? What's going on? What era are you from? Okay. So that was something that was so interesting. So I made those cards, adjusted a little envelope and stuck them in the front cover so that they're there to use if I want to go back and revisit this, which I have actually done from time to time. It's been, these two were journeys that I thoroughly loved. And it's, it's like Marmite. Some people would love it and some people wouldn't necessarily like doing it because, it can be quite revealing, I have to be honest. So, you might be wondering what's rolling around on my shelf here. I've actually got a little thing that is bubbles moving around, and I've stuffed it in here because it stops my books tipping over, because the shelves don't have a side on it. So those are some books. Now, other books that I have on here. Oh, I do have a book on the I Ching. I love the I Ching, or I Ching, I should say. It's pronounced I Ching. I've pronounced it for years as I Ching to learn that it's pronounced I Ching, and that's from watching other tarot tubers, but also reading the Tao Te Ching book that I have here too. A book that I do have that I do think is quite essential for a tarot library, or even, it's definitely a dip in, dip out book. It's not here. I have a bureau downstairs that has two glass doors on that. I also have tarot books down there as well. And that's the Holistic Tarot by Benabel Wen. It's definitely a must for a tarot library. Now let me see, what else would if you're looking at the history of tarot, I've got the Origins of Tarot, and it's a Cosmic Evolution and the Principles of Immortality by Di Leon. Okay, that's this book here, and again, it's a big one, and again, you'd have to decide for yourself whether is this something you're going to go from front to back. It's very in depth, it's very deep, but it's actually so interesting. That's all. It's very interesking, and it uses what's the tarot deck? This particular deck, but the images on here are from one Visconti Forza. There you go, came to my head. So there you go. That's one of the decks that he's used just for the images alone. Now, Tarot Deciphered is another massive dip in, dip out book. This is written by T. Susan Chang and M. Moline. This is one, I have a couple of their books. Is the other one downstairs? I think the other one's downstairs. Let me just have a look here. Yep, I think it's downstairs. So this is these are brilliant. Again, these are like Bibles in the world of tarot. Unlock the symbols, meanings, and the magic of the cards. And once again, this is something where you'd look at, what is it I want to know? Okay, what is there a particular card that I want to know about? So this goes through each of the cards. Okay, so if you want an in-depth, we'll go straight to the beginning and let's just have a quick look. We'll look at the Fool. Okay, so the Fool is here on page 15, and it gives you the card number, the element, the Hebrew letter meaning, the path on the Kabbalah tree of life, the colour scales and the 4 worlds, the themes and keywords, and then it goes with astrology and element. It gives you an in-depth look at mythology and alchemy, the Fool on the tree of life, the Fool on the Thoth tarot, how it looks, and the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism, related cards, Thoth symbolism, and advanced concepts for further exploration. So this is like, you know, when you want to really dive deep into a particular card, this is definitely the book, Tarot Deciphered. And it's decoding esoteric symbolism in modern tarot. Okay, and that's Susan Chang and M. Moline. I must remember to make a reference to the books that I've spoken to you about today. Now, Rachel Pollack wrote a book called The 98 Degrees of Wisdom. Okay, now, the 78 Degrees of Wisdom. And that is here on my tarot shelf. Now, this was written donkey's years ago. In fact, it was probably one of the only books available about tarot at the time. When was this first written? There's one here, 1980. Yeah, about 1980 then. It might have been late 70s and early 80s. Okay. And then it was reprinted. It had a yellow cover on. I actually gifted that book to somebody, so I purchased myself this other, second copy. It is very, very deep. It's very, it's good, but it can be a little bit difficult to follow at times. Rachel brought out another book, and this is called The Tarot Wisdom. Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom. There's 78 degrees of wisdom, 78 cards in the tarot. So basically that's Tarot Wisdom, and this is her more modern book, okay? Now, spiritual teachings and deeper meanings. I have found this book far easier to digest. It does have some of what was in this book, but again, it's a lot deeper. There's a lot more to it. It's easier on the eye, I have to be honest, and it covers so much, and it's set out in a way that's easy to follow. It's not like the older books, you just have your sort of dull pages really, and going from card to card with small print. So as much as this book was valuable at the time, I do feel that this one has superseded the original 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Let's have a look there, pop that one back. So yeah, that's the Tarot Wisdom, Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom, Spiritual Teachings and Deeper Meanings, from the author of 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Okay, and do I recommend it? Yes, I do. Again, it depends how much time do you spend reading about tarot. It's pointless going out and stocking yourself up with books if they're just going to sit there. Get books you're going to use, you're going to refer to. My husband said to me one day, he came in here, and he comes in here quite often, loves to sit in my reading chair there. He said, I find this room so peaceful. And my older son's the same. And he was just staring and goes, have you read every single one of those books? So I said, well, there are some that I've read cover to cover. I said, but the majority of them are books that I use to look up aspects of tarot. And like that, he said, there's just so many. Don't they all say the same thing? Well, they all talk about tarot, but every author has something different to add. And that, as I have said many, many times, each author here, regardless as to how many books they've produced, written and shared their knowledge with us, every single author here adds to that rich tapestry that is tarot. Now, one of the books that I have found really interesting, and it is one that goes with a deck that I own, the Tarot Illuminati, and that's the Complete Guide to the Tarot Illuminati by Kim Huggins. And here you go, I've marked pages here, 5 of Pentacles, I was looking at for something there. But again, this is something that, this accompanies a deck, a particular deck, and it's nice to be able to, you know, look, I have used that deck for, well, since it first came out, the Tarot Illuminati. I updated and I retired my old one because it's looking rather battle worn, and I've got a newer copy. And it's nice to have the deck, having used it, but to also have the words of the creator and their slant on the cards they've created. There's another book written by Kim Huggins, which is a general tarot book, and it's Tarot 101. And this goes through all aspects of tarot, but what I like about it, Kim has actually put exercises for the reader to carry out. So not only are you reading about the tarot, reading about a card and making your own notes if you do that, or making notes within the book if you do that, which I am pretty guilty of, but they're my reference books, so you know, I think it'll just be my children that'll have them when I've gone. I don't know what they'll do with them, but there's exercises in this that take you deeper. And I find when you've got practical exercises with books like this, like Tom Benjamin's books, like Nancy Hendrickson's books, it helps you learn even more. Having a practical activity to accompany their written work. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's a gift. It's a gift. It really is. And people, you know, sharing their gifts with us, I think it's remarkable. I don't put all the books out that come in the big boxes of tarot cards. You know, when you get the kit instead of just the deck. Because I wouldn't have enough room. I keep those in the boxes in with my tarot cards, and they're there for easy reference. But the one I do have what didn't come in the box, I bought this separately to the deck, is the Robin Wood Tarot, and this is the book about the Robin Wood Tarot deck, okay? And I like it. I like the Robin Wood deck. That's one deck that I used when I was working through the Nancy Hendrickson books here on Ancestral Tarot. My father liked Robin Hood, loved stories about Robin Hood, so I thought Robin Hood, that links to my dad. So when I was communicating with my father, that's the deck I used. Now let's have a look. Another book here that's not tarot orientated as such is Craft of the Wild Witch. It does include some tarot in it, but not a lot, and spellcraft, and again that uses some tarot. We've got Tales Behind Tarot. Now this is a book that I got by Alison Davis, and this is stories, you know, around each tarot card. So the Fool. Once upon a time there lived a fool, a young boy with the world at his feet and a dream in his heart. So full of joy was he that he walked in a daze and lived in the here and now. Some might say his head was full of air, but they'd be wrong. The fool was fully aware of every single thing, for he engaged all of his senses and moved through life with ease. It's true, he had much to learn, but he had also much to teach. For when you wonder as a fool, you wonder freely with openness, and this allows you to fully connect with your surroundings. And on it goes, describes the character, his looks, etc., etc. I just thought, what a beautiful way to represent the tarot. And it was gorgeous. It is gorgeous, not was. It is gorgeous. It's step into the mysterious, unforgettable world of the tarot and discover the illuminating tales behind the 78 cards in the modern tarot deck in this introduction to tarot unlike any other. So it goes on. So that is The Tales Behind Tarot by Alison Davis. Okay. And now what else will I show you? Here's, put this one down here. Put that back from where it came. 90 Days of Learning the Tarot. I purchased this one for my son. It's on my tarot shelf still, because he is working full time. He works nights. He works in a hospital, and he's amazing. My daughter works in a hospital, and my other son is in business with my husband. So my youngest is the only one that has an interest in tarot as I do. So he's got two tarot decks, and it was Jim that I gave my other 78 Degrees of Wisdom to, and this book. And he said, Mum, keep it on your shelf for me for now, please, until I've got the time to dedicate to it, which his time will come. Like, as much as I had a dalliance with tarot in my early years, it's not until my later years that I've delved really deeply into it to this level. So I'm sure that will happen with Jim as well. This is 90 Days to Learning the Tarot. No memorization required. It's by Laurie Gifford. I haven't gone through this deeply, but it is a workbook, okay? It's a perfect workbook. You write everything down here. You can use a notebook if you want to, but you have this workbook, and it's section 1, Getting to Know Yourself, which I think is brilliant. That's what we all need to do. Let's go. So we've got there's the preface, the introduction. Section 1 is Getting to Know Yourself, okay? Section 2, Know Your Cards. Section 3, Sharing the Message You Receive. And there's an appendix at the back. And like I say, very similar to the way Tom Benjamin has in his, where you write out the things inside the book, all the spaces here. But what I like about it as well, besides, sort of, you go through it, it's done day by day. So you have day 1, you look at this. Day 2, you look at this. On day 13, you look at signs and symbols. And in that, there's a great thing on colour association. So red, and you write your notes, your colour association with reds and purples, etc., etc. And then number association. So you've got the number, the association, word association. So you can see how deep it goes into it. And again, you're writing, so you're reinforcing what you're learning through reading. So you're not just reading and absorbing the information, you're writing it in and cementing it in there. Okay, so that's there. Let's see. Now I have books that I bought for, people, if people want to just have a look at my library and see, this one's all about tarot. Yes, it's about tarot. It's Tarot and Divination Cards, a Visual Archive. And this is one of the books that I think it's just brilliant. It looks at all tarot through time, and it's basically its history, okay? So it's full colour, and it's all the different cards from a variety of different types of cards, and they're for dipping in and dipping out of. That's a history book. So if you're looking, you sort of want to know a little bit more, it's one of those you dip in and dip out of. Okay. I have a book on runes there. Just in case anybody's wondering about a book on runes, I know I'm supposed to be showing you the tarot, how to read with them. Runes illustrated and how to read with them. I found this in a shop when my husband and I were away, and this is all about the runes, and I have to say I have found it very interesting. I like the way it's been bound as well. The pages are more like double pages, okay, but it's a wealth of information on runes, and that's it. Runes Illustrated, How to Read Them by Rachel Newcomb, okay, and I love the way it's been bound. So there we go, there's that one there. Now, looking at other books here, ones that I would have read, say, cover to cover, for instance. Oh, sorry, before I just go on there, The Morrigan by Kim Curran. That is really an interesting book, a lovely book to read, okay? They call me the Morrigan. I was magnificent. I was multitudes. They twisted my story, stripped me away. But I will tell it now in my own voice. It begins, as all the best stories do, in darkness. So if you like learning about, or not learn about, reading about the Morrigan, this is a brilliant story. Lovely. Just called The Morrigan, and it's by Kim Curran. Now, so books I've read cover to cover. There's not a lot of them in here that I would have read cover to cover, because, like I say, there's a lot of dip in, dip out. So the Nancy Hendricksons were definitely cover to cover books that I read. Tarot, Talisman or Taboo. I've started reading this, and I found this exceptionally interesting, and it is deep. It is a bit of a chore. It's a bit hard going, but this is a cover to cover reader for me. And it's about the last century, was hell for many people, a hell of our own creation. In many cases, those of us in charge of others, whether in concentration camps, schools, parishes. So it goes through everything, okay? And let's see, it says here, I'll just read the first paragraph of this. The last century was hell for many people, a hell of our own creation. In many cases, those of us in charge of others, whether in concentration camps, schools, parishes, orphanages, families, had lost touch with ourselves, had failed to tap into our unconscious lives. Many of the great monsters we can now parade in public with the clarity and courage of hindsight are no more than the rest of us writ large. Every one of us was potentially an oppressor. And why? Because we have repressed the Mr. Hyde in us and we're living the Dr. Jekyll, which is what happens when we neglect the major part of ourselves and our unconsciousness. The most basic and almost negative level, we are required to do something about this untapped source in ourselves. It's almost a matter of hygiene and health. Okay? And most of us are related to this subcontinent in a passive way through our dreams. This book suggests that there are active ways to engage with this area, and one such way is through the tarot cards. And this is by Curra Press. Like I say, it is quite deep, and it does take a lot of sitting down and getting stuck in. But that's definitely a cover to cover. It's by Mark Patrick Hederman, and it's Tarot, Talisman or Taboo, Reading the World as Symbols. Okay. So that is one there. Oh, that's Wisdom from Your Spirit Guides. That's a non-tarot book. Now, let's have a look here. The Tarot, Mirror of Souls. That's another one that I like. And The Fool's Pilgrim. These are two books that I've been reading cover to cover. Now, yes, it's got some definitions in of the tarot. But this one, what I like about this, I've read through this, but it comes with meditations on the tarot as well. And what I like about that is when you meditate on the tarot, it's like stepping into the cards. And Tarot, Mirror of the Soul, a handbook for the Thoth Tarot. This is by Gerd Ziegler. Again, this is deep, okay? The Thoth Tarot is deep in itself, but that I found a necessity to read cover to cover. It definitely is not a dip in, dip out book, but it's also one that you have to stick with it, you know. I've got Jodorowsky and Costa's The Way of the Tarot here on my shelf, The Spiritual Teacher in the Cards, okay, and it's by Alejandro Jodorowsky and Mariana Costa. So this is an old book actually. It's been out for some time. I think this is the one I'm thinking of. Yes, let's have a look. This was first published. There's 8 translations of this book, and it was first published in 1997. It's not that old. It's oldish. Okay. When I think that the 90s are now considered old, it makes me feel absolutely ancient, seeing as I'm a 60s baby. But let's have a read on the back. Alejandro Jodorowsky, profound study of the tarot, which began in the early 1950s, reveals it to be far more than a simple divination system. The tarot is first and foremost a powerful instrument of self-knowledge and a representation of the structure of the soul. The Way of the Tarot shows that the entire deck is structured like a temple or a mandala, which is both an image of the world and a representation of the divine. The authors use the sacred art of the original Marseille tarot, created during a time of religious tolerance in the 11th century, to reconnect with the roots of the tarot's Western esoteric system. They explain that the tarot is a nomadic cathedral whose parts, the 78 cards or arcana, should always be viewed with an awareness of the whole structure. This understanding is essential to fully grasp the tarot's hermetic symbolism. The authors explore the secret associations behind the hierarchy of the cards and the correspondences between the suits, the energies within the human beings. Each description of the major arcana includes keywords, summaries, symbolic meanings, traditional interpretations, and a section where the card speaks for itself. Jodorowsky and Costa then take the art of reading the tarot to a depth never before possible, using their work with tarot, a new psychological approach that uses the symbolism and optical language of the tarot to create a mirror image of the personality. They offer a powerful tool for self-realization, creativity, and healing. Alejandro Jodorowsky is a filmmaker who made the legendary El Topo and the Holy Mountain. He's also a psychotherapist and author of many books on tarot and spiritualism, including Psychomagic and the Spiritual Journey of Alejandro Jodorowsky. Marianne Costa has worked with Jodorowsky since 1997, co-teaching workshops on tarot and family tree therapy. She's the author of No Woman's Land. Both authors live in Paris. And this was published by Destiny Books, Rochester, Vermont. Okay. So this is one that I am not going to lie. I thought I bought this a long time ago, and I sort of picked it up and I thought I'll get back to that. But again, it's one that I've referred to in the past if I'm looking for something in particular, and I've thought, no, this needs to be sat down, and like the Mirror of the Soul and The Fool's Journey, this is a book that does need respect, and it does need time taken out and given to it and worked through, definitely worked through. There's a lot of information in it, there's a lot of instruction, and it's a wealth of information. Okay, it's a gem, but it's deep. Okay, now that's that. And I also have this one here. Now this one has only been, I actually got this second hand. It's a book that, it's actually written by a priest, would you believe? And it's Meditations on the Tarot, and it's a journey into Christian Hermeticism, and there's an afterword by Cardinal Hans Urs von Baltzar. It doesn't actually say, right, who actually wrote this. It's believed to have been written by a priest, but the people that have reviewed it are Trappists, priests, doctors, and I have used it when I wanted to. How can I explain? I've always liked stepping into the cards, as you've heard me refer to before. And what do I mean when I say stepping into the cards? Well, I mean, like, I look at the card, I try to imprint that card on my brain, and then I close my eyes. I might have a bit of soft music on. Sometimes, if it's using this book, I use Gregorian chants. I find them with the tarot. The tarot seems to morph depending on my surroundings. Am I indoors or am I outdoors? Am I here in my room and am I downstairs? To music, or to books that I'm using, to decks that I'm using. I get something different from each of them. And when my eyes are closed, I envisage myself stepping into that card, talking to the character. Am I now just one-to-one with one character, say we'll use the Fool? Or am I looking around and seeing the magician in the distance? Is he beckoning me over? Come and have a chat to me in a minute. But I can't, because it's the Fool that I want to talk to. But I'll meditate on you the next time, type of thing. You know, sometimes I envisage other people around that I don't even recognise from the tarot. I don't know if I'm just completely nuts or if it's just something I love. The one that I was meditating on was the Empress, and looking at divine magic and sorcery, and the third arcane, the Empress, is that of sacred magic. And I've made notes in this book as well when I'm doing that. I like to read whichever card I'm going to meditate on if I'm using this particular book. I stopped practicing any sort of Christian. It's not my beliefs are my own beliefs. Okay, they're not led by a church or a doctrine or any form of mainstream organisation, cult, whatever. But sometimes, looking at things, you've still got to keep an open mind. You can't say, right, okay, I'm giving up on everything. If it's been in your life for donkey's years, it could still, some aspects of teachings that you've learned from the past can still be there more as a comforter. And this is the journey into a Christian Hermeticism. So Christian Hermeticism, not Catholicism, not Protestant teachings, not whatever. It's very different. I can't explain how different it is. It's not like stepping into a church and being told by a priest that, go and get a tarot card and sit in the corner and meditate, because let's face it, if I walked into any Catholic church and started doing that, I'd probably spontaneously combust. And if not, they might just make sure I do. But I like reading the chapter of the card that I'm going to step into. If I'm using a Marseille deck, which is rare that I would use a Marseille deck for this is the book I would use. I would read about that card, have my music on in the background, and look at what I have found very interesting is looking at references from the Bible to this book and cards in this book, and how it's so amazing how mainstream Christianity poo-poos tarot, and yet we have people from Christian Hermeticism here who's written this book, and who priests probably curse for doing so. But there are some interesting connections. Now, you might ask from that one, well, do I still read the Bible? No, I don't. Because like a tarot deck, for me, the Bible was created by man. It wasn't a direct interview with God or Jesus or Mary, Joseph or anything else. But this is one I've kept over the years. This was what I used in school. And sometimes something will be said in there or in any of this, and you just think, that's very interesting. I like to use my Bible as a reference book. And sometimes if you're doing a little bit of book divination and you just close your eyes and you think, right, what do I need to know today? And you open it up and you go, oh wow, and there's something somewhere that always sort of hits a bit of a nerve. I was at a flea market in America and I picked up an old Bible, because I love books. I just love books. It doesn't matter what kind of books, I love books. But this one, I must admit, when I got it home, back to Ireland here, I took it, it was I love the bendiness of the cover, the leather, the whole thing of it, and I thought, but then I read, something popped out and I thought, oh, this isn't a Bible, this is a book of hate, because it was chastising people that live their true lives, whether people were like ourselves, divinators, witches, fortune tellers, whatever mystics, psychics, the gay community. And I swear to God, if they had us all in a room, they'd probably set the building on fire. It was weird. So I'm writing a little story now. I say little story, I'm on chapter 30 something, and I use it as a prop for my stories. I make notes through it. I'm not doing it in a level of respect. I'm doing it because it's actually helping me. But where have I put it? It might be on that shelf somewhere, or it might be in my bedroom actually. Or it could even be downstairs. I'm not sure. Speaking about it now, I actually get the eek when I hold it. Does anything like that happen to you? With sometimes you might pick a deck up and you think, oh, do you know, I actually don't like the feel of that, or a book and oh, there's something about that book I don't particularly like. It happens to me quite a lot. So this is, like I say, my tarot book. Tarot of Transformation. This is a dip in, dip out. It's Andy Matzner. And it's using the major arcana to discover your best self and create a life worth living. This is, for me, it's a dip in, dip out. And it depends what aspect of myself I'm looking to work on. I used to have a rotten temper. And why? What made me angry? Why did I find it so easy to fly off the handle? I've always been one that will speak my mind. And sometimes, sometimes I spoke it very inappropriately, not meaning to hurt anybody, but sometimes I used to just open my mouth to change feet. And it's sort of things like this. For each of your strengths, ask yourself, is this who I am at my core? And how do I know? How do I feel when I am using this strength? Anger can be a strength as well as a curse. It can be a strength, because sometimes people need to see that what they've said or done has hurt, and you're allowed to show anger. Because if you just sweep everything under the carpet, that carpet is going to raise and raise and raise, and one day you'll explode and go off like a bloody volcano, and that's not good. Just bear with me, I've just knocked over my easel. So, that's the type of books I have on my shelf. If you zoom in at all, I don't know if you can see any of the titles here. I might do a run through with the camera so that you can have a look if there are any books you want me to look at. I think I have talked about each of them over the years on my tarot channel, and I think they're all here. Talking with the Tarot, that's another good book. This is a very recent one that I've added to my collection. That's actually having a discussion with each of the cards. It's quite amazing. The Thoth Companion is obviously the Thoth Companion. The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by, hold on, this one here. This is one that you can find on Amazon by Liz Dean, the author of The Art of Tarot and the Golden Tarot. This is a lovely book, okay? The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, it's full colour, 2 pages for each card. It gives you, so we're looking at the Moon Tarot, understanding the moon's astrology, the moon and Kabbalah, upright meaning, reversed meaning, its wisdom message, the moon symbol, alternative names, numbers, numerological links, astrological sign or planet, element, Hebrew letter, symbol meaning, tree of life pathway, chakra, key meaning. Very deep, easy to digest, okay? So, and then this big one that you can see here, this is one that my husband and I came across again on one of our trips around, and it's The Tarot, a collection of secret wisdoms from Tarot's mystical origins by Juliet Sharman Burke, and it is full. It's a tome, and this is definitely a dip in, dip out. Okay, so folks, this is my tarot shelf. This is my tarot library. This is where I spend a lot of my time. I'll take the camera now and just give you a bit of a walkthrough. So, see you in a minute. So, this is my room. Okay, this is it was the smallest bedroom in the house, and when 2 of my children moved away, I have taken the smallest room and created this little tarot room. Here is the shelf that we were just sitting at and looking at. I've got jars of moon water sitting on the top there too. And here are the books that sit on this shelf. And with the top shelf, it's 4 shelves. And as I said to you, there are other books in here, and I'll just take you over here. These are books that are very recently new to my collection, and books that are on my to-read list. Okay, and these are other books that are a mishmash of topics. Most of them have some relation to tarot. Okay, a lot of them are books or storybooks. These books here, the Gifts That Bind, Hidden Gifts and every gift's a curse. They're actually written for older teens, young adults, and I have to say they were just pure escapism and really, really wonderful to read. I totally loved them. The three bears that you see sitting here on this top shelf were made for me by Anne Fort, who is somebody I have met on the Tarot Tube and has become a friend. In fact, we haven't spoken for a while. I need to get back in touch with Anne just to keep touch. There's Fairy Wicker, there's Tarot Time Traveller. Oh, that's a book I was working with. It should be on the other shelf, actually. My glue, sorry, that's from crafting my Mod Podge. And oh, that's that Bible I was telling you about. Yes, it's a bit worn now because, well, I think it just got moth-eaten. So this is it. Let me just show you. It's a very, very weird book. Now, some drawings in it on some pages, just because, probably through boredom when I think about it. Okay, now where was it that I've actually made notes in it. I know I shouldn't. I know there's the heathen in me, but where is it? Oh, I'll find it at some point. I've actually set out scenes in it as though it's been found at a crime scene and words ringed in it to give out clues, etc., to a detective. So I'll find it. But no, I must admit there were aspects of that I really didn't like. I found it, considering the Bible, you know, is supposed to be a holy book, whoever had decided to put that in it wasn't very nice. So, yeah. There's other books I've read here, The Year of the Locust, The Familiars, all these books have been read here. Okay, so what have I got on top? There's lots of bears and things. My sister made that for me there, as she has these here. This is my tarot, my shelves here. I'll just step back a bit here because it's a little bit, you need to sort of be able to see the whole thing. Oh, that's a clock that needs a battery. My son made me that in woodwork. And my son, I think he made both of them actually, my middle son. There we go. That's each shelf. In each of these boxes there are decks of cards. Okay. My ones that are in pouches there. And there are books on this shelf. Now these books here, okay, that's a literature book, you know, a story, but these are all journals, and that's my grimoire, my tarot grimoire or ancestral grimoire that I made. I'll bring you over to my desk here. I'll just have a quick look. Those of you that followed the series will have seen this grimoire already. Let's have a look. Here we go. So I put things in that meant things to me. Okay. And here we go here. It's not the most decorated because it's a lot of written work in here. Okay, this is my grimoire about my ancestral journey. And yeah, very interesting. Love it, love it, love it. And there we go. This here. What was this one here? This was Smoke Signals. There we go. So this was all done with the book by Nancy Hendrickson. There's sigils there that we worked on. And I've taken it, oh, we actually, did we make it to the last? Oh, I've got a couple of pages if I want to add anything in the future. And this, I did an ancestral visit to Achill Island because my family has links to Achill Island, and brilliant, brilliant. So this is my space, and my reading chair is just behind me here. And my oracle decks are kept in each of these drawers, and that's my little altar there. And this is my cupboard that has a little bit of everything in it. A little bit of everything. Now, there you go. Well, folks, let me just pause this. I hope you've enjoyed this visit to my library and a quick look around the room. You can see, you know, what it is I do and where I do it from, and I hope it gives you some ideas. It's not the tidiest of rooms. It's a little bit chaotic in a sense. My desk is definitely chaotic, but it's my place and it's where I feel really good. You take care. Have a lovely day, whatever you may be doing, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.